how to turn those 5-year goals into 1 year.
If you're starting out and you're trying to speed up the process at which you start to absorb the things that you didn't know, you put yourself in those environments and you seek mentorship.
Reduce the knowledge gaps.
Yeah.
Because the knowledge gap is like what does a person in. With the knowledge gap, like when you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to do those things? You know, you just don't know that these problems are coming.
You have to explore.
Yeah, you have to educate yourself. You got to get in that space, start talking to more people, read more books on that subject.
I think we have to get at it yesterday and let the chips fall where they may. As we have these conversations, I think these are little catalysts.
Welcome to the Unfiltered Podcast. I'm your host, Raf, and this is my co-host, Saheer, the engineer. Yo. Man, today I want to kick this off with a personal question, perhaps.
Okay.
What is something that you're currently working on that you, what I'm trying to ask you is like a 5-year goal that you have in your personal life.
Okay. 5-year goal in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I want to be, in 5 years, I want to be able to... Damn, there's a lot of shit that I want to happen in 5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. In 5 years, I want to have successfully proven a work-life balance in my head. And it's like, it might be looking like I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a change in like how I see my future, especially after being a dad, just knowing like how much fun and fulfillment I get being around my kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, I guess I don't want to be away if I don't absolutely have to be away.
Right.
So within 5 years, I want to be able to successfully prove that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like right now, I think it's leaning in one way. Whereas like, in 5 years, I want to be able to achieve like a balance, so to speak.
I see.
But
and what way is it leaning right now?
Right now, I would say, it's a lot more work. It's a lot more. It's a lot more about grinding, hustling. We're looking at every and any avenue, to grow, and that's not coming from a complaint like attitude or anything like that, but definitely I want to be able to spend time with my kid more, just be there, present, where not have like stuff weigh on my mind. And I've seen folks do this, so I know it's not impossible. I know that it's not like a fantasy to like do what you love in life and still like be there for your kids.
Yeah.
And if anything, like those folks talk about their kids the most. That like that's really what makes them happy. And I think I've realized that, in the past year. So in my 5-year plan, like I do center it around that.
But aren't you already doing a lot of that too? Like, aren't you?
Which is,
you are spending a lot of time with their...
I would say more than average, sure. Like than what folks normally would say. I'm just saying more so mentally. Like the way that my, I'm, and it sucks because like you go in and out of like being present and then thinking about XYZ, or your phone going off and you being like, okay, we got to get to that, or like something like that. And then like I don't want to speak for everybody, but for myself, like brain just starts going, and the ideas start going, and you don't necessarily stay present and you miss things. And, I'm not proud to say, but you miss moments that are like right in front of you sometimes. And like, just because you're thinking about things.
Right.
And I think that's something to work on. And I don't think that that's achieved by neglecting your work. I don't think it's achieved by neglecting your dreams or neglecting the work that it takes and the stamina that it takes to really bring forth results. Yeah. I think if anything is to double down, because we can see a space, where this can happen down the road, but that just means we got to work harder.
Sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's stopping you from being more present now?
It's that. It's just like just the work, man. Like, we're like at a
5
place
years
where
from now, would you think you wouldn't have work?
no. I think I would have a better balance. I would be able to. I want to be able to say no to things. You know, I want to be able to have gotten to a place in my career as a whatever, as a either as an artist, as a producer, as a mix engineer, master engineer, as a podcast host, as a speaker, author, whatever. You know, get to a place where, yeah, like where I see a better balance of this, you know, and like I just think like right now what's stopping me really is just the fact that work has to be done, you know, like and that means that no weekends are off, you know, that means that when baby girl goes down, I am, you know, getting back to work after dinner, so to speak. Got to get some food in. But I think the biggest, I think that would be like my biggest goal is to get that work-life balance in a proper place. I think like that's something not to overstate, is that people think that like just being like physically present is like you're doing it. But if you're like on your phone or if you're preoccupied in your mind, are you really there? You know, and those things I notice and those things I catch about myself that I think I can improve. And I don't think that that comes from like I said, like I don't think that comes from taking a step back from work. I think it means like finding freedom, you know, within your field and getting that to work for you. Because yeah, I love making music, you know, I love mixing and mastering. I'm very passionate about that. And I'll do it, I think, up until I can't. Yeah. But like I think family is everything. So yeah, bro. Damn, that's an interesting question. Like 5 years from now, I don't really get asked the 5-year goal.
Right.
How about yourself? Do you have
5 years from now? I think I want to see my health like way better, like fittest I've ever been.
Okay, good.
You know, like because in 5 years.
Shit, me too, man. But put me down for that. Yeah. Okay.
I just want to be like, be able to do that, and I don't think that'll take 5 years. So that's like probably not the best.
No, not 5 years. Example. I think maintain good health.
Maintain good health.
Yeah. A year from now, let's see a transformation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it shouldn't take 5 years to fucking do that. So, but I do think like from piggybacking on what you were saying, that I do feel that way. Like sometimes where it's like I feel like I'm doing a lot. Like my time is very scheduled, very like back to back, very
regimented.
Yeah. And it's like I'm following all my dreams. You know, like the thing about the things that I'm doing are like all aligned with exactly what I want to do, you know?
Right.
So it makes it more busy sometimes because it's like,
yeah,
you know, things I never let go of, like things that I keep doing, you know, regularly. So, and then I'm a very involved dad. So it all like adds up, and sometimes it does feel like an overwhelming amount of things to do, you know?
Yeah.
And so recently I was thinking about that, and I was like, am I being a high performer, or am I being overbooked? You know, I was asking myself this question, you know?
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I looked back at my a journal that I write a journal, you know? And so like 2017, I wrote this entry, and it was a similar feeling. It was like, holy shit, all this is happening. Like, I'm doing this many things, I'm juggling all these ideas, but I also have all these other responsibilities that are pulling at me, you know?
Sure.
It's like going like in that way. And then I was like, man, I'm having the same experience right now. Like I'm just literally recreating that, you know?
Wow.
And that was kind of eye-opening, you know? And like, it made me think that I'm probably choosing this experience, you know, of feeling like back to back, like busy, like really.
Oh yes,
yeah, you know,
this is 100%.
Like, yeah, I'm
right.
choosing this, and that's why I've had this experience since for so long. You know, like
no, but that's our
like
that's
for so long.
That's our journey.
Yeah,
that's just the nature of our journey. I'd say.
Right.
Is that constantly it's going to be multiple things.
Right. Yeah, and then I think as an entrepreneur, like I see other examples, other entrepreneurs, and like it just seems like even they're just grinding and like working on their shit. But I think like the more we can enjoy the things that we do, the better. You know,
No,
because
that I don't come. Yeah,
Exactly.
I have not. I have no qualm
that's
about.
the main thing.
Yeah, where I'm spending my time, no
Mhm.
matter how difficult it gets.
Yeah.
You know, it's in pursuit of what I love.
Right.
And I just the other day, like I was watching, I was watching this. I think it was a how-to. It was like a tutorial of a certain way to use a certain plugin, and I found myself zoning out completely. You know, from like I don't know what happened. You know, I was just like really like in depth visualizing exactly what this person was explaining about this certain technique and how to achieve whatever sound you wanted. And that's how I knew, like, that I am doing what I love, no matter how hard this gets.
Right.
Like, when I am in front of this, I lose all perception of past and future. I'm just here, and I'm taking in what's being shown to me. So that, like, I think is, like one of those indicators.
It's a sign. It's like, it makes you feel like you're in the right place.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And that's why I feel like I've been like, I'm probably overbooked and at the same time, like a high performer, like an overbooked high performer.
Yeah, it's just a
You
part
know,
of
it's
it,
just
though.
like,
Like, this is what it is. Like I said, it's like the nature of our journey. Like, it's going to be overbooked. It's going to be overwhelming. And, like, that's what I want in my 5-year goal, is to, like, just find some level of, I guess, relief in that way. You know, I don't want to be anywhere else thinking about what I have to do work-wise.
Sure.
And who knows? You know, it might not be achieved in 10 years. It might take 15. I'm here for the long haul.
Sure, yeah.
So, like, for me, that was the first thing that really came up.
Sure.
If you want more materialistic goals, you know what I mean? I definitely want a Maybach truck. Like, those things look awesome. So, like, things like that, you know, whatever I can do to afford me to get me one of those, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah. I think, wait, what was I thinking? Shit.
Sorry, I brought it to, like, the Maybach.
I kind of lost it for a second. Wait, it's gonna
the work-life balance we were talking about.
Sure, yeah. I feel like for me, 5 years from now, I definitely feel like I'll be doing more of the things that I love to do. You know, a lot more. Like,
awesome.
Whether it's family, whether it's anything else, you know.
Great.
Yeah, but I do think, like, I see what you're saying about, like, that being present thing. I think, man, it's important for us to ask also, how can we do those things today? You know, like our 5-year goals, like how can we taste the goal today? You know, how can we like touch the dream, you know, like every day, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now.
Yeah.
I think that if COVID didn't teach you that by now, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Because this is like, you can have those things in your head, but I think it's about the level of urgency, you know, like setting your mindset kind of differently now.
Right. Absolutely, man. Like, I would say that I've put some thought into that as well, like what you just mentioned about being present with family, being present with your daughter, you know?
Yeah.
For me, being present with my son, like, it's so important, you know? And
absolutely.
I think, like, my older self, you know, just even a couple of years ago when I was a new dad, was a like, I think I learned through the process that I really needed to be present, you know, because at the beginning I do feel like, a lot of times I was like thinking about something else while I'm taking care of him because I'm like doing something else, you know, usually.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's important for all of us to like practice being present, you know, practice.
Especially like right now though, as they're getting older, don't they need to be entertained more?
Yeah.
You know, they need to be stimulated more.
Absolutely.
And if you want to be a present dad, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I have to not be concerned about anything else. And that comes from really accomplishing your goals, you know, work-wise. Yeah. And then affording yourself that time to not think about things, you know, or they can, you know, like you can turn your do not disturb on. Like, I cannot do that, you know, during the day. Like, that's just not allowed because I need to get to things. And I think there's a time where if I can do that, you know, for, I don't know, after 1 p.m. every day, that's That's the dream.
Man, that's very interesting.
Because then, man,
it's making me, a side of me, like my inner side, like one side of me is going like, but you can do that today. And then I'm like thinking of ways you can do that today.
Yeah.
And then the other side of me is also saying that, no, I also accept that this is the struggle that you're going through.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now is different. I don't think we could do that today. Personally, like, I don't think I could stop working after 1 p.m. Like,
No. That makes sense. That makes sense. But I feel like there are strategies that you could apply to like be more present today. Like
that's different. Yes.
You like, I feel like it's a strategic question. It's not even like a life question. I feel like it's not the puzzle of life. It's more like, what strategies can we do to be more present, to have that time with the family where we don't have to be on our phones, where we can accept that like we're not going to be on the call.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if we ask that question, you would get different answers.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I see.
I don't think, like, what I'm trying to say is I don't think you have to wait 5 years to get there.
How so? Like, what are your
man,
what are your thoughts on that? Because like for me, what I am thinking about is essentially passive income.
Sure.
Right? Like stuff that you have created or stuff that you own that generates on its own.
Absolutely.
So that we don't have to actively be out there, doing whatever it is that we have to do, fielding calls or booking appointments or following up, etc. All of this stuff that it really is around the clock. Because folks are around the world. And when assets come from anywhere, you have to make yourself available at this stage.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I don't know how to achieve that, what I'm talking about, that clear 50-50 of, I don't want to like completely stop working. Like that's not, I just want to work during the morning because I feel like I'm the most productive then. And then by the time like lunchtime comes around, like, maybe I'll do like a little 1-2, but like after 2 p.m., like I just, I want to ease into the afternoon, into the evening. I want to cook. I love cooking. I love pizza.
Sure.
Like I love taking the time to prep. I like spending time with my family. I also like going out and stuff. So like,
that's true.
I think it's important to have a balance in life.
Sure.
As much as we love to be owners and hustlers and, like be on our grind, I think that we talked about the hustler mentality, right? Like how it's kind of played out, like the sleep when I die, like that kind of thing is just a little, man, I don't know. Life is beautiful, if you take time to appreciate it a little bit. And but that doesn't come that doesn't come for free, especially in America. So I'm not like naive in that sense. So yes, there are certain things though that we could 100% not have as 5-year goals, but could become 1 year. But like, I think we need to give more time to ourselves to like, like buy ourselves out of our lives, or, and create like self-generating platforms, so to speak.
Sure.
So yeah, man, what would you think though? Do you have any ideas? Like,
just simple things that just come to my head right now.
So how to be more present? Is that what you?
Yeah, that's just that. Like I would say, like not the macro of the of the situation, because the macro of the situation is like you want to have more streamlined work in 5 years so that you don't have to be stretched thin by doing too many different things. You just want more focus,
or responding to things, So what I'm saying is a lot
of fires to put out.
Yeah, so that's
you're like the head honcho on everything. So
like if you're leading the charge on multiple fronts, like if they're calling, like you got to respond.
You got to do the thing. Yeah,
and that's what takes your mind away from being present when you're in the living room. Sure. And that's kind of what I'm speaking to.
Yeah, so I think like the macro of it is like a different different type of work. Or like schedule that you like agree to over these, over the next few years. I think that's very doable, but obviously that's like macro. That's big picture.
No, but that's on me too. To tell people like the turnaround time isn't as quick as it used to be anymore. Life is way different now. Yeah, like it's much more.
And man, as an entrepreneur, like doing business ventures, there'll always be a little bit of that, you know, because if you are a leader, you have to like take it on your back anyway. And so then, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
that again,
if there are fires, you know, what are you going to do?
It's the nature of our journey. That's just what it is.
Sure.
Folks that own buildings, you know, that own like shopping complexes and stuff, they'll be like, yeah, the roof fell through in this unit. It's like, oh shit, you know, and it's like 3 a.m. or something. It's like, so I have friends of mine that tell me about that, you know, and it's like, that's what comes with owning things. Like you have to be there around the clock.
Right.
And so I think that's something to like work or take note of, you know, when you're on your journey is that, is this something that you want to do? Because some people do, you know, like they want to be involved at the board meetings, you know, till they pass on, and that's totally your prerogative.
So the other day I was thinking, like just this week I was just thinking about some of the things that we're working on, like, you know, currently Unfiltered and everything that we're doing. I've been thinking about like the goals that we have in these next, you know, few years.
Okay.
And I've been thinking, like, am I like making progress with the mindset that we're gonna have these 5-year goals, things that will take us 5 years to reach, or can I achieve some of them like in a year? You know, because I was like wondering to myself that like, am I giving myself too much time on things that can actually be done way faster? You know, and like
that's like, okay, so I think there's like a set of like a mindset change. I think you're more so speaking to.
Right.
I think when you're starting a project. So one of the examples for me that comes to my head that is like an embodiment of doing shit now, you know, versus thinking like, okay, this can happen in a year.
Right.
Was starting this podcast. Like I remember you talked to me, I think like in November-ish, somewhere around then. And at that time when you spoke to me, you didn't speak to me just like kind of through like out of thin air, so to speak. You had a plan, you know, and we took like an hour or two out and we had a conversation about what this whole thing would be and like where you would want to go with it and how to make this not only profitable, but something of value for generations to come.
Right.
And
that's right.
That meeting to us starting our first podcast or our first, you know, actual recording session was, I think, like 2 months, maybe 3 months, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like that is a quick turnaround time in terms of putting a plan into action. And then since we started, we haven't stopped. I mean, sure, there's like weeks here and there that we might not like be able to meet, but we stacked for that reason. You know, we come in overtime for that reason. I think we're doing that already. You know, I think like just the fact that like you spoke about it and didn't think like, okay, maybe in like a few months we'll be ready to like, you know, start putting the set up, you know, and then in a month it'll be ready for we had the set, it looked one way and then it looked another way and then it looked a third way and then it looked that way, and then we figured this out, and I'm sure it's going to keep evolving, you know. So I think what's really important about these 5-year plans is that you make those the outer limits of you accomplishing your goals. That doesn't mean you wait around, you know what I mean, for that time to come. You get started now. And in that way, I think you do both things. One, you keep that goal in sight, but then also you don't overpressure yourself, which might cause you to burn out. So there is that, you know. So like some of these things, like what are some of these goals for Unfiltered?
Before we even get into that, man, but like I agree with what you said. I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of artists, entrepreneurs, creators, they go through this in life where it's like, you know, they enter this space and start having these goals. They want to get to these like markers that you know, tell them that they're successful, but you know, without knowing really how long each of these things will even take, you know. And it's like important to ask the question, can we shorten the time? Can we like not you know, think of it as a 5-year, 10-year thing that we're going to achieve? Maybe can we achieve it in a year? And if that's possible, what does it take? Like, what does it even look like to do it in a year and do it in an easy way, where it's not like killing you?
But do what? What do we want to do?
Sure. As an example, for Unfiltered, what are some of our 5-year goals? Like if we use this podcast as an example for this like concept.
We talked about workshops. Remember workshops and boot camps?
Right.
Like I really do want to bring, people together.
Yeah.
And
people together.
Creatives.
Live events. Yep.
Especially,
Creative. Yep.
So live events is one thing. I guess like I love the live podcast setting. I love that having a conversation in front of an audience. Love that. Yeah. And I think I went to one in London. These like two like podcast hosts I'd never heard of. He came in on a bike. You would never have known that this was the guy that's like the headliner of this event. It was like 300 people, but he just came in on a foldable bike, and then kind of went out. And I was like, wow, this is so real. It felt like very just every day. And I like that about that. So live events for sure. But I'm speaking more so to like I guess the producer, audio engineering, music side.
Yeah.
Because those workshops, man, it looks like a lot of fun. Right. Where like you just have like multiple stations set up, and people pass work along, and finally get it to like maybe a mix master engineer that might or 2 or 3 that might be there.
Yeah.
To like get final products out.
For sure.
And yeah, man.
Yeah, like workshops sound really good. That's a great avenue for us to like, partake into like the community as well. Build the community.
Yeah.
Add value to the community.
Exactly.
Provide some lessons. Provide some like mentorship. It ticks many boxes. It makes sense. That's a perfect goal. That also goes hand in hand with other goals that we have for Unfiltered. We're creating courses. We're creating content that are like courses that are gonna help artists and creatives get to that next level.
Right. Brand builders.
Yeah, brand builders. Yeah, entrepreneurs. So in 5 years, I definitely see, piggybacking on what you just said. Like, I definitely see us like having more things like that on the internet.
Yeah.
Like that can teach people, add value to people, help people, in their journeys. These are good couple of examples. I would say another. And I guess for both of these two to be successful, we're gonna have to grow our teams. In 5 years, we're definitely gonna have to grow our teams.
Yeah.
We gotta have people, more tasks that are delegated, to different people.
Sure. I imagine that comes with its own trust issues. I'm saying that lightly, but just as a creator, like being able to give somebody else the responsibility to get things done, it's hard. Especially when you want things done a certain way to a certain caliber.
Right.
And I think that's what really does allow you to do all these things at scale.
Right.
And that's
important.
The courses, the books, and then being able to do workshops. Like I don't want to do workshops just in one place. That would be awesome to go around the world.
And we want to give the most value. Which requires more than just us. Like to accomplish that, it can't just be you and me there. A bunch of people.
Right.
Good teams. Like we want to give them something of quality. Yes. And so, saying that, these goals, if we can like bring them closer to if we can cut down this 5 years process into 1 year, what does that even look like?
Okay.
That's a good question to ask for anybody out there who's like building a brand, starting from bottom or starting from where they are right now, wherever they want to get to in the next 5 years. They should ask themselves, like, how can I get to that next 5 years in a year? Like, is it even possible? Because if you don't ask that question, you won't even know. Because the thing that I like puts fear in my fucking heart is like, what if it's like I'm acting like it'll take 5 years, so like I'll do things a certain way.
Yeah.
What if it could be done in a year? So like I do things with more urgency.
Yes.
I do things with a different mindset. Yeah. With the different mindset shift.
Right. You don't dilly dally.
Yeah.
Or you don't second guess yourself too much. You don't hesitate because you don't have time.
Yeah. And this comes from a person whose urgency is already at a high. Like I'm already at a high urgency at all times.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when we discussed the podcast idea, within 2-3 months we were on it.
No, we were on it.
Because the urgency is always high.
Right.
But that's why. But it's high because I ask myself these type of questions. You know, I'm asking myself, like, can I do it in a year? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of these things that we discussed, I think we can take certain steps to do it in a year.
Sure. To start, like, you can't like when we're talking about building a team out. You're not going to start off with like 15 people off the bat.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to start, you know, like slowly by slowly, like little job per little job that you know you can outsource.
Right.
It's important to start now, though.
Right.
You know, like vetting people, looking around, trying to check out talent.
Yeah, we're, you know, definitely growing the team already. Editing, working on the videos, working on the content.
Okay, shout out to you guys working remote, man.
Yep, cheers. At least the team's growing. Right?
Yes. That's dope, man.
But that's one of the things. But then, if we ask ourselves, like, how do we create, you know, a full stack of courses, like, within a year, you know? We can take certain steps towards, you know, creating a routine that involves working on the course regularly.
Yeah.
We've been working on the course, but if we do it on a routine way where it's like we, you know, churn out ideas, we write out scripts, we create the modules, do the shooting, release, and then start the next one. Just go into this little routine cycle.
Right.
Then we're probably closer to the goal of having more courses out there. You know?
That already there, like, simplified and like help me visualize how we can actually get some of this stuff done.
Yeah.
Just by you pointing out that cycle.
Right.
I think
step by step, right?
We're on our way as it is, you know, just having this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at this stage it's just important to start trying and starting to throw things at the wall so that you start seeing results.
Sure.
And we're what, 26? Yeah, 26 episodes in. You start to see, you know, some changes. You start to see like improvements. I'm sure you're, you know, thinking about things as you're cutting things up, you know. So I think it's like evolving at its pace. But then as we have these conversations, I think these are little catalysts, you know, to help speed this up, get us get that uptick, you know, a little bit faster. So I think, having this coursework, starting off with like small problems that we can solve that both of us are experts in with our field.
Yes.
It's a easy layup, you know, in that sense. So look out for those coming very soon.
Yeah, and our goal is to reach like, you know, add value to 1 million people at least to start there, you know. And so like if we, you know, if we think about our teams, if we set up our teams in a way that we create more content, then we can reach 1 million people far easier, you know, like with a better, you know, better churn of product and content, you know, out there. And then what does it mean for like people out there who's artists out there, musicians out there who have specific goals, like, you know, if somebody's like a singer-songwriter and they want to create, you know, write their next hit.
Yeah.
For somebody like that, you know, get in rooms where people write.
Yeah, get in the environment.
Yeah, get in the environment.
Yeah. So like if you're let's say if you're starting out in a certain field and you're trying to speed up the process at which you start to absorb the things that you didn't know about the field, you put yourself in these situations. You put yourself in those environments and you seek mentorship. I think you mentioned that earlier.
You mentioned that.
That was no, the workshops.
Right.
You were saying that those workshops would lead to mentorship, and which is true in a certain sense, but like the workshops, it could be like instructor-led workshops, or it could be like
teamwork.
Just teamwork, like little collaborative events. But for what you're stating about getting into these environments, it's one thing to put yourself there, but then it's another thing to interact with experts, with folks that are already in the field,
few levels ahead of you,
succeeding. Yeah, and it might take some time to persuade somebody to become a mentor. You should keep at it. I've heard time and time and again that mentors didn't necessarily want mentees. Is that the or the people to, to groom, so to speak, and to get them to a certain caliber in whatever field they were in. Because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of responsibility too. And like, also you have to kind of adjust how you do things as somebody who's a professional to accommodate somebody shadowing you and watching how you do things and then asking questions and sort of changing your flow. But most people, I guess, good-hearted professionals will happily do it. It just takes showing persistence. It takes showing dedication. So have you thought about it? Can I come in even just once a week? Something to get perspective, to get like a real dose of what it takes to function, in whatever role it is. So for me, if I was starting off, I think 10 years ago, and I could talk to my younger self, no, I was starting off in 2008, somewhat 2003, really. So if I could talk to my 13-year-old self then, I would talk to him about studios and engineers and go to a studio and just intern, become the coffee runner. Yeah, everybody has heard about that. You start there because that's where you really get the pace of things. You start to see how a real functioning studio works and the way the flow goes. I don't think that you can do this just by reading about it or by watching YouTube videos. You do have to be in that environment, like you said. But getting maybe that spare hour after that engineer's about to clock out, he's like, hey, just come in here. I'm about to mix this record. You can come sit, listen to me do it. And yeah, you level up. Now, I didn't seek that stuff out in the beginning. Nobody really told me to do that. I mean, it's 2003. You don't really have a lot of access. You don't really get to the information being out there until I feel like 2008, 2009. That's where people were more freely talking about independent music and how to kind of create your brand. But yeah, mentors, man, people that will really just show you the ropes, and cut 4 or 5 years off of your journey easy. And you start, your ears get tuned a certain way. If you're a songwriter, you don't know how to tackle patterns, they can start giving you, just templates, but they can, I don't really know a lot of songwriting workshops, but I have worked with a few, writers, just strictly writers, and they use word banks, they use certain mood things. They have boards. They look at, certain things to get inspiration. It's a process. It's a very interesting process, and you need to be shown that. You need to watch somebody do this.
If you're around those people, you learn those skills.
Put it into practice. Yeah, absolutely. But to see it, to see it actually happen. I remember one time in school in Emeryville, this engineer had, and he was the instructor there, but he was also a full-time mix engineer, and he was showing on the analog console how to clean up a recording of a guitar. And these guitars, they had resonant frequencies, which he was talking about, and you essentially have to hunt these frequencies down, and you just turn those notches and or those dials so that it creates a filter, like a notch filter, and those frequencies are X'd out of whatever's playing through that channel. Watching him do it in real time, and the fact that it happened within 7 seconds, that he searched, he combed, he spotted it off of his ear, and then he twisted these other dials and then turned the fader up, and you saw that the level didn't go up, but everything got louder, everything got clearer. Whoa. And then you start to see okay, this is actually this is someone who knows their craft. This is someone who has taken the time to tune their ears, so that was really important for me, to see that it's not always about adding a ton of shit, it's about subtracting the bad shit and bringing up whatever's already there. So that
you
really
learn
helped.
those kind of things from other people, from mentors, from getting in those circles, in those networks. Yeah,
going to school. Go to school.
It's a set, even if it's just for the network, well, obviously for the learning, but
no, networking is huge.
Yeah, and that's, I think, solid advice for anybody who's thinking about how to cut their 5-year goals into 1 year is to like increase your networks so that your net worth can change. Increase the number of mentors that you seek out. Try to seek out a mentor in everything. Like find somebody who's already done the things that you're trying to do 5 years from now. That are like a person who's like 3 or 4 or 5 levels ahead of you.
You got to
find
research.
Those people. And befriend them. Like learn from them. Like get in their space. Hear what they're saying. Like try to have conversations in their circles. Like that cuts out time for sure. For sure.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like one of my first businesses like that I started working on like I think it would have to be Kansas City, and I started just with mentors. I was just seeking mentors. I was just really wanting mentors. And I was lucky to find a few people who were willing to talk to me, willing to like have coffee with me, once in a while. Like they were from different worlds completely, but I think that type of thing has helped me even till today. Like I still try to seek mentors, still try to find somebody
100%.
who's levels ahead. We started this podcast and I started to network with other podcasters, like started to see what people are doing, like what type of content are they creating, what type of teams do they have,
introducing yourself in the space. Absolutely.
And I get to have some great conversations sometimes, like people in other countries, people in this like everywhere, it's just
sure.
cool.
Absolutely.
But that's, I think, very important to like go to the next level.
You have to
speed up the time.
Right. Working by yourself is only going to get so far.
Join a group, join a chat group, join like a Facebook group, whatever it is. Join that thing, We're building courses. I joined a little course group, online.
Nice. Yep.
And I'm trying to like use it as like an accountability thing, as like something to learn from each other. It's just, you have to do those kind of things and have that urgency, to make that progress.
That's a choice we make, that we attack every day with no bounds in terms of what we can and can't do.
So we mentioned 2 things that people can do so far to like shorten the time that it takes to reach their 5-year goals to 1 year. And those things were find a mentor, find a group, increase your network, like get to know more people in that field that you're trying to achieve that goal in. At least find some people who are a few levels ahead of you. Number 3 would be take courses. Take courses that are, if it's in person, that's even better because then you get to make more friends. But educate yourself, like reduce the knowledge gaps. Because the knowledge gap is like what does a person in, because like because of a knowledge gap, a person doesn't know that they can do certain steps, with the knowledge gap. Like when you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to do those things? Like you just don't know that these problems are coming.
You have to explore.
You have to educate yourself. You got to get in that space, start talking to more people, read more books on that subject. Just educate yourself how to turn those 5-year goals into 1 year, Brendan Burchard says, if your mind doesn't see to the end of the goal, like all the steps that has been taken to get to the end of the goal, then your heart will take a pause. And what he means is, if you can't visualize the whole journey, then there will be times where you will slow down or not do the things that are needed to be done. Just because you just didn't know, like you had knowledge gaps, you didn't know where it's going. But if you can like plant those seeds in advance, if you can visualize, see yourself doing the steps and then write down the steps, one by one, that whole vision, then we can like shorten the time, then we can actually do
what you have to do, right? You know which dots you have to connect. You can go out there and do it. That's one of those things, like I said, like the 2003 version of me that just didn't know about studios, that didn't know about engineers, that didn't know about the process, that didn't know what he didn't know. That's what I would say. You know what I mean? That would have 100% filled that gap, which is look, this is what it takes. This is what it is. I learned it through the years just by hook or crook, like by asking questions somehow or another, working with people. The internet wasn't as expansive, nor was it as, I guess, what do you call it? Encouraging to independent artists at that time. You know, home setups weren't a thing. Like a home studio wasn't a concept. We only got into, you know, like laptop producers and stuff around like 2008, 2009. Like that's kind of when that sort of started taking off. So when we first started, like you just were so in the dark about how to create music. And so if I had taken a course or something, you know, like if there was a...
Which you eventually did because you went to school for
later.
It. Yeah.
But again, that knowledge, that time happened in 2008. Now, I don't regret going to UC Riverside. I loved those years of my life. They were awesome in so many different ways. But yeah, if I had known that there were 4-year degrees in sound engineering and you could come out 22, you know, with a solid degree and like you would start it, you know, I don't know. I think I would be somewhere else entirely in terms of just studio experience, you know? So like I got my studio experience pretty late comparatively, consistent studio experience. So there's like here and there, you know, you get your little, you know, days where you get to do it, but you don't get to, if you don't consistently go into the dojo to get better, it's just never going to happen. Right. So those things that you spoke about, you know, getting into the environment, you know, that lends itself there as well as like getting better is you have to go into those places.
Yeah. And then as you go into those places more and more, you fill the knowledge gaps, you learn what you didn't know. And that's very helpful. You know, the other day I was talking to like a friend of mine, and he's an artist, and who was talking about merchandise, you know, like how they want to get merchandise ready, you know, and all the steps required to do it. And it was just like so complicated, you know, but he just didn't know what he didn't know. So I told him like, no, listen, we can do it way easier. And these are the things that we can do, and I can help you walk through this. And it was just like, poop, knowledge gap, like gone. And it was just like, oh shit, okay, this is way easier than I thought. Perfect. You know?
Yeah, sometimes we make it more in our head too as to what it might be.
So and you know, like you ask those questions when you go like, how can I do these 5-year goals in 1 year? You know, like you really have to grow your mindset in a way where you can ask yourself that question and find the answers, you know, because we find the solutions to the problems that we're looking for, you know? And if it's a 5-year problem, then we tackle it different. If it's a 1-year problem, we tackle it way different. Like the urgency is different. The mindset is different.
You do have to discern like what's for that. So there are things that are going to take their time. And it's important not to rush those things. It's important not to force. But there are other things, a lot of things, vast majority of things that you can do tomorrow. You know, you just got to get up and start and get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Hormozy says, it takes the same amount of work to make $100,000 as $1 million. It's just like your mindset. What are you focusing on? Are you working on the $100,000 deal, or are you working on the $1 million deal? And how do you get the $1 million deal? Then you start asking those questions, you know? And everything requires an upgrade in skill, you know? Like just because Alex said it in such a simple way doesn't mean it's simple.
No.
It means that this person who's asking that question, how do I make that $1 million, you know, with the same amount of work, means that person would have to learn better sales techniques, would have to have a better offer available for like a customer or an audience, you know, or a particular, you know, whatever they want to do.
Quality of service has to reflect
quality
that.
Of service has to be $1 million service, you know.
Yeah.
All these questions get answered, but slowly after that, you know. But first we got to ask that question, like, how do we fucking do this, you know? I like that. Yeah, and something like that, you know, requires us to like grow our teams, grow ourselves as well, personal development. Just because with a bigger team, all those things can be executed much better, you know. And I think that's one of the things that somebody can do. That's number 4 is delegate more tasks, grow your team. That's something somebody can do to like shorten that time.
Invest in others.
Yeah. If you have the capital, you can pay people to be your assistants and help you in the journey. Don't have capital, you gotta sign up some other people under your dream, you know. And like sometimes, other people will follow through with your dream and help you with your dream if they also see their dream being accomplished through yours.
I've done way too much work for the experience of it.
Yeah.
I always saw opportunity for things beyond pay.
Right.
100% got paid. But like if opportunity was there, I seized it to learn.
Right.
To be somewhere different, to have a different perspective. And those things are invaluable. So the more you can get out there and experience, I think a lot of people who don't have capital that want to have teams, you can find these folks now. They might not be as experienced as you would want them to be, but they're hard workers. And I think at that point, you got to kind of weigh it out about, do I want somebody that works really hard or do I want somebody that's expensive? Right. And if you want somebody that works really hard, like they can get better.
Right.
And yeah, like some people still come through for me on the love of it because, they got better together.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's part of the journey.
Yeah. And it's a great skill to have to enroll others into your dream. Like to be a person who can enroll others into your dream. Like that's a beautiful skill. Ed Milet says, make your dream so big that it's an umbrella to other people's dreams. So other people hear about your dream and they instantly just get attracted to it because it also solves their problem.
What? No, we can do this together.
Yeah, because their dreams get accomplished at the same time.
Sure.
And that's when you win. And that's actually the best way to enroll others into your dream, Worst way to enroll others is to like push somebody into it. Like, hey, come here, come help. That's not a good way. You want to attract.
Yeah.
You don't want to like pull.
By nature of what you're trying to accomplish, it has to, your vision has to be something that just by virtue of itself will fulfill somebody else's passions or their desire.
Yeah. And everything, in life is what you attract to yourself, and so like success is attracted to you. All the people that are in your team that you need in your team are attracted to you. Right. And it's a great skill to have to attract others using like a big vision, a big dream, And then also we can add value to our team, like have a nice little 10 to 12 people team, like enough that a pizza can feed. Jeff Bezos always says, like, if your team can't be fed with one pizza, then it's too big. And I think there's something to that.
Sure.
If we can build a team like that where we can add value to their lives too, where we can change their lives because they're part of our team, where, I see even in 3 years, like, where we all go to like games together, World Cup games together, where we do our team building, like in places like that,
Oh God.
like the energy, bringing that positive feeling, like for everybody in our team and their families, like that's how we grow, that's what I want to see, like.
Sure.
And all the steps that we're doing now, like we'll get to that, that's why we got to like try to shorten it, try to do it as urgently as possible so that we can add value as much as possible,
Sure.
And it's empowering for us too,
Oh yeah.
As we like keep progressing, like that dream that you were talking about of like having more time freedom, that becomes more of a reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like a big goal that we all should have, like the freedom of time,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In America, like we chase freedom, and like one of the biggest freedoms that we should be chasing is freedom of time. That's what we all want: financial freedom and freedom of time.
Yeah.
So and all this requires a mindset shift. And I think that's number 5. That's the final point, which is, you got to shift your mindset to think, what can we do in a year instead of like 5 or 10? You never know what's going to happen.
I think we have to get at it yesterday, and let the chips fall where they may. As we continue to progress, for sure.
Yeah, it's like pursuing the bigger opportunities instead of the smaller opportunities. That helps speed up that process too.
Yeah. But like, I understand. Like, you're looking for bigger, I guess, projects, things that might lead to bigger results,
more impact.
Yeah.
That speeds up the process. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it does. But don't. I don't know. Don't stay idle.
No, of course.
Waiting for those.
No, work while you wait.
Work while you wait. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think this is a good episode. Like I'm so glad we discussed this because this is important for me as well. Yeah. I was asking this question to myself all week where what can we do to like shorten things, the timeline, the run rate of things.
Yeah.
And I think we have some answers, and we can keep asking ourselves this question, like as we progress.
For sure.
We can keep asking ourselves this question so we can take the steps that we need to take today so that we can do a better job,
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm with it.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you again. Another
Of course,
episode.
Thank you. Hell yeah. Peace.